Hi everyone, this is Sierra back for another video. I first want to start by saying thank you to everyone who has left a comment or liked a video and just shown support on this channel just in general, because this is something that I thought was really important, and I'm seeing more and more people make videos about leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses and what their lives are like and things that happened to them, and I really appreciate that. I think that this is something that, it's a personal choice. I'm choosing to make videos, I'm choosing to speak on certain topics, and some people want to, some people don't. So my purpose in sharing is, I think, along with a lot of other people, just to show them that they're not alone, they're not by themselves, and that other people are going through the same things. And if anybody is struggling or trying to figure out if they still believe or where they're kind of at as far as the Jehovah's Witnesses go, I hope that my videos, along with hundreds and thousands of others that are out there, can help them figure out and just let them know that, again, of course, they're not alone. So today's video, I thought, would be I want to talk a little bit about disassociation. And personally, I chose to disassociate. I know that there's a big topic and conversation around whether you should disassociate. Some people are, they just want to do it cut and dry. Other people say that they prefer to just fade out because it's, the watchtower system and they don't want to follow their rules. And I really do think it's a personal preference, and how you choose to do that is truly up to you. If you want to formally leave, if you just want to fade out. I also think it's very dependent on your circumstances, so I don't think that one person can literally decide or say what someone else should do. Everyone's situation is their own. Some people have family, they want to keep those relationships, friendships. If you're in a marriage, you just don't have those options. You have to do what's best for you personally. And for me, my choice to disassociate was my own, and ultimately I chose to disassociate for just peace of mind, mostly because the beginning of this year, I was a Jehovah's Witness, like full on, in whatever sense you want to call it. I was going out in service. I was at every meeting. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do, participating in the cart witnessing stuff. And, there's just those little cracks that started showing up in the way I heard situations, described and everything like that. That kind of made me want to delve a little bit deeper and find out more about the organization. And if you haven't seen my other videos on exactly how I woke up and what that looked like for me, you can go to my channel and find those videos. But I ultimately decided that it was best for me to leave. Now, just long story short, for anyone who hasn't seen my videos, just a little bit about me. I was raised around Jehovah's Witnesses. I say around because my parents, they're not witnesses. They never were witnesses. My mom was raised as a witness because my grandmother became a witness in her late 30s. And so my mom was raised as a witness, but never baptized. She stopped going to meetings around, I guess, 18, 19 years old maybe. And my dad was never a witness. Now, both of them did study at various points in their lives, but they never took to it. But fun fact, I never grew up celebrating holidays at all, because those certain things, even though my mom didn't become a witness, she never became a baptized witness, she didn't want to give into the whole thing, certain things stuck for her. So holidays, never celebrated a Christmas, an Easter, birthday, nothing. So that stuck. So there was consistency there. There was never any fight in between what I was going to do in that respect. And I grew up going to meetings because my grandmother lived with my parents when my sister and I were growing up. So we would go to meetings with her. That's how I got introduced to all of the witness stuff. And so I got baptized when I was 23, I believe. It was 2020. 2020, I think. Yeah, something like, yeah, 23, 2020, yes. It was during COVID, so that's what I remember. And of course, when I did it, I felt really good about it and felt like I was doing the right thing. But I guess in the last year or so, year and a half, I started just feeling very bored, very strange, very nonchalant about it all. I just didn't care anymore, I guess. And that brought me to my long rabbit hole of research that a lot of witnesses do when they're waking up, and I decided to disassociate. So back to that. So I decided today that I'm going to share the letter that I wrote to my body of elders, and I'll just read the email and the attachment so that if anyone's thinking about writing a letter, if this is helpful at all, I'm glad it's helpful. And just to see, you know, if you want to structure it that way, or just to kind of get a feeling of what you want it to look like. If you choose not to write a letter, that is absolutely okay as well. I felt more able to write a letter because I didn't have family ties. All the relationships, you know, don't get me wrong, I had so many relationships within the organization. I mean, I grew up in it, so I knew people from when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old who've known me, watched me grow up within the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I had friendships that were really important to me that are no longer, those people are no longer in my life because I chose to leave. And that was difficult. But I feel like I felt okay because my family, I wasn't losing my family. And I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. So for that particular reason, I felt fine about writing the letter. Also, the things that I learned about the organization as far as handling of CSA and the Australian Royal Commission, things like that, that have kind of been in the back of my mind for a while, that I just kind of swept under the rug and kind of said, okay, well, Jehovah will fix it. No, Jehovah will not fix it. Jehovah can't fix it because this isn't God's law. These are man's rules. They're the ones doing these things. So ultimately, those are just some of the reasons why I chose to write a letter. So I'm going to take this time just to share that letter, and I will just pulling it up on my laptop here. So I sent an email to one of the brothers in my service group, past service group. I said, hello, please accept this letter as my resignation as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I truly appreciate your help and understanding. But I can no longer follow an organization that I do not believe in. I do not have any ill will toward anyone in the congregation, and I believe that everyone is worshiping God in the best way that they know how. Please share this letter with the rest of the body. So I'm open up the letter here. I said, Dear elder body, after deep reflection, I have made the decision because I choose to no longer align myself with an organization that fosters intellectual dishonesty, secrecy, and harmful practices under the guise of truth and love. Hearing Jeffrey Jackson speak during the Australian Royal Commission revealed that this organization is led by hypocritical cowards who expect rank-and-file members to stand up for truth while they lie and hide behind their own positions of authority. Among the things I find most disturbing is the handling of child sexual abuse within this organization, the suppression of truth, the silencing of victims, and the protection of perpetrators under the two-witness rule are indefensible. Elders are directed through shepherd, being the flock of God, to contact the legal department at the U.S. branch upon learning of abuse allegations, instead of contacting local authorities. Victims and their family members are often too disillusioned to report it themselves, as they believe they are, quote, leaving it in Jehovah's hands. This demonstrates to me that the organization as a whole does not prioritize the protection of children. The average elder does not have the experience or expertise to investigate such allegations. Any group that allows abuse to continue unchecked while insisting on secrecy and internal control is not one I can support or wish to be associated with. I refuse to be part of a system that prioritizes its reputation over justice and truth. I no longer recognize the authority of the elders, the governing body, or any watchtower teachings over my life. I now see that new light is not divine clarification, but a convenient method for the governing body to cover up its errors in interpretation. I find it disheartening that the organization's leaders refuse to admit when they've made mistakes. This is not humility, it is arrogance. This letter is not an invitation for a meeting or further discussion, as my decision is final. Please contact me only to acknowledge receipt of this letter and to confirm that my disassociation has been announced. Most individuals have already stopped associating with me, so this letter simply serves as a formal departure. I want to express that I still love the people in this congregation and do not feel that I have been personally wronged by anyone. I trust that you will respect my wishes. Sincerely, Sierra. So, as you can see in my letter, I chose to really hone in on the CSA because that was something that was the most disturbing to me. Previously, I was a teacher, so I worked with kids on a day-to-day basis, and I just couldn't continue to, I didn't want anything to do with an organization that didn't protect children. And I found it disgusting. I found that the responses to questions at the Australian Royal Commission by the elders and by Jeffrey Jackson absolutely disgusting. And so that was like the final nail in the coffin. I remember I had like my automatic donation thing going on. As soon as I saw the CSA stuff, I cut that immediately. I was like, you're not using my money to pay for your legal fees on CSA and all of your lawsuits against other countries as they're shutting you down for human rights violations. You're not using my money for that anymore. So yes, so I wrote the letter as my formal departure, and I also just wanted them to leave me alone. I don't want the phone calls. I don't want you guys to try and help me or save me. I don't need to be saved. I'm fine. I also changed my phone number, so nobody can contact me even if they wanted to, at least not by phone. And I also just wrote this for myself. I am someone who, for a long time, would just bottle up everything until it was absolutely too much for me, and I would just kind of explode. And when I say that, I mean, it would just come out in so many emotions. Usually, frustration would show up. I'd either cry on the floor in a corner, or I just kind of shut down because I wasn't dealing with things. And I'm someone who needs closure. I've learned that about myself. And this letter was closure for me. This letter was very finite. It was closure. It let me express myself. Whether they read it in its entirety or not, I don't know. I really don't care, because the letter wasn't really for them. The letter was for me. And that's what I want to drive home. Whether or not you choose to write a disassociation letter, 100% your decision is for you, not for someone else. It is not for those elders. It is not for the people who are in the congregation who are probably wondering what happened to you. It is for you. You are making this decision for yourself. I wrote this letter for me, making sure to include the things that were most important to me, that were most disturbing to me, that I didn't want to have to deal with. I did this for myself, and I feel wonderful about it. And if I hadn't written that letter, I would probably still be going back and forth in my mind. Oh, I should have said this. I should have done that. I should have told them about this. That's gone. I don't need the could have, should have, would have. I started working on my disassociation letter probably in March when I officially woke up, but I didn't send it until my official disassociation. When did I send this? Let me check the email stamp. I sent it on June 21st of this year. So it took a little while. I added things as I thought of them. I rewrote things. I took things out. I waited until it was exactly how I wanted it, and then I sent it. So I say all this just simply to say that if you want to write a disassociation letter, ask yourself why you're writing it. Are you writing it to prove something to other people? Are you writing it to try and wake somebody up, because unfortunately, if that is it, you might not get the response that you want. If you're writing it for somebody else, for the purpose of somebody else, you might be disappointed, because you really have to be in a space to hear information and to understand it. And you have to be in a place to be willing to, have these difficult conversations and look into the Jehovah's Witnesses, because I know when I was in, I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to hear anything negative about Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't no, you're taught to block it all out. You're taught to ignore everybody. You're taught not to have anything to do with anyone who has anything negative to say. So just remember that. If that's your purpose, it might not turn out the way you want it to. But if you take your time and, you're writing this letter, as a catharsis, if you're writing this letter for yourself, I feel like it helps a lot more, because you're essentially standing up for yourself. You're expressing yourself in this letter. Now, like I said, whether they read it or not, whatever, but you got everything off of your chest. You expressed yourself. You let them know. You said what you had to say, and you are leaving it behind. And that's truly what the letter did for me. I was able to put everything that I wanted to say out there and leave it behind. And I haven't had any regrets personally. I don't regret leaving. I don't regret sending the letter. I feel really good about my decision, and I'm living my life. So, it's a really short one today, but I want to thank you for watching. And if you are thinking of writing a dissociation letter, or you have any comments or anything, of course, just, put in the comments, drop a comment, or, and just tell me what your thoughts are. But, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one, whatever that may be. I don't know yet, but I'll see you in the next one. I'm sorry.